Hello and welcome to Tech This Week. The big story coming up in today's episode is the race to go green with electric vehicles. Sohinder Gill, who is the CEO of Hero Electric, joins us to talk about recent partnerships with e-commerce companies which are leading to increased adoption of electric vehicles in the country. Later, my colleague Vignesh Anantaraj joins us to take us inside JSW Cement's digital transformation drive. But first, here are the top 10 stories of the week. The Indian government on Thursday notified the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code of 2021, which are a new set of rules that seek to make social media platforms more accountable to legal requests. Social media firms will be obliged to remove content within 36 hours of receiving a legal order. And the companies need to assist in probes or other cybersecurity-related incidents within 72 hours of receiving a request. The new rules also introduce an oversight mechanism for video streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video. So these will require the OTT players to classify content into 5 categories based on users' age. In a related development, a group of global technology media companies have banded together to set up a coalition for content provenance and authenticity, that is C2PA, to develop technical standards for certifying and source provenance of media content. C2PA, comprising founding member companies like Adobe, Arm, BBC, Intel, Microsoft, and photo verification platform Trupic, will address disinformation, misinformation, and online content fraud through its technical specifications, according to a statement from Microsoft. Moving on, unicorns have multiplied at breakneck speed in the country, with several new age startups reaching the coveted $1 billion valuation in just 2.4 years after being founded, as per an industry report. India's 44 unicorns have created 1.4 million direct and indirect jobs and have cumulatively created about $106 billion in value for the startup ecosystem in India, according to a report from Arise Venture Partners. Adding to the tally this 1 week saw 2 new unicorns. Healthcare technology firm Innovaccer closed a $105 million growth funding round led by Tiger Global Management, valuing the company at $1.3 billion. And Inframarket, a marketplace for construction materials, also hit unicorn status after raising $100 million in a Series C round, also led by existing investor Tiger Global. Soon, social media influencers may have to label sponsored posts with hashtags of ad, collab, promo, sponsored, and partnership if the recently released guidelines for influencer advertising on digital media from ASCI, which is the Advertising Standards Council of India, gets notified. Amazon and Future standoff on the Reliance retail deal continues to make headlines and seems nowhere near a halt. On Monday, a 2-judge bench of the Supreme Court said it will hear Amazon's plea against Delhi High Court's judgment in the Future Reliance retail case. Earlier this month, the High Court had cleared the acquisition of Future Retail's business by Reliance Retail for a consideration of $3.8 billion. Moving on, Unicas, a joint cryptocurrency venture, on Wednesday said it has opened a physical branch in New Delhi, banking on the Indian government's introduction of a bill to approve the legitimate use of cryptocurrency. The development comes at a time when the Indian government is considering a ban on private cryptocurrencies in the subcontinent. Private equity major Carlyle has reportedly emerged as the sole bidder of a Blackstone-owned infotech company, Mphasis, paving the possibility for Indian IT sector's biggest buyout. Mumbai-headquartered data center solutions provider WebWorks on Wednesday said it has entered into a joint venture with Boston, Massachusetts-based Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain plans to infuse $150 million into WebWorks over the next 2 years, using which the latter will expand operations to Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai. E-grocer unicorn BigBasket earlier in the week issued a cease and desist notice to Coimbatore-based online grocery delivery platform Daily Basket over the use of basket in its brand and the design of its logo, mobile app, and website. And finally, food delivery platform Zomato on Thursday revised the remuneration structure of its delivery partners to help them cover the costs of recent increases in fuel prices. A Zomato delivery partner travels about 100 to 120 kilometers a day, consuming about 60 to 80 liters of fuel in a typical month. And the recent increases in fuel prices amounts to an additional monthly spend of 600 to 800 rupees from their take-home income, Zomato said. And talking about fuel price increases, let's move on to our next segment. The week was packed with developments related to electric vehicles in the startup ecosystem. E-commerce giant Amazon India said it partnered with Mahindra Electric to deploy the latter's three-wheel electric vehicle Triozor in its delivery fleet in India. Separately, e-commerce rival Flipkart on Wednesday announced that it will deploy over 25,000 electric vehicles in its city's logistics fleet, in partnership with manufacturers such as Hero Electric, Mahindra Electric, and Piaggio. Now, for a perspective on how such B2B partnerships with players like Amazon or Flipkart help create a space in India's larger renewability goals, we're joined by Sohinder Gill, who is the CEO of Hero Electric. Hi, Sohinder. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Tech Circle.
Pleasure.
Firstly, tell us about how significant a chunk are these B2B side of sales when interspersed with the need to drive up electric vehicle adoption across the country.
India is changing very quickly to electric, and within that it is changing very, very quickly to in the B2B space, in the commercial space. And especially the deliveries, there are so many big players and small players who are calculating every day how much they would save or how much they would be better off if they convert to electric, because for them is multiple vehicles, not one or two. So from that point of view, the decisions in B2B are based on brand, quality, reliability, and some sort of a partnership that can exist in future, ensuring long-term usage of the vehicle. If left to himself, the rider is as good as any retail customer. So his conversion to electric is having the same apprehensions, same mindset issues that why should I change to electric when I don't see many around. So then nobody really buys electric in big numbers if it is left to an individual buying. And that we have seen in retail also. The volumes are less than 1% of the total volume of two-wheelers sold in India. But when it comes with the rider of a pressure from the aggregator or from the company, then there is a slight advantage there. Then it is sort of you must do it or you should do it type of a situation from top down, helps him into this decision process. It has to be from the company. It cannot be individual rider choice. Otherwise, it will be like any other thing happening in the retail side.
Great. Now, can you also just tell me what are the various factors that go into consideration for companies like an Amazon or a Flipkart when it comes to scaling their EV fleets? Also, what's the strategy at Hero Electric's end for bridging such requirements?
These are very simple because we have to see what is the existing mode of these companies, whether they're into rental, sharing, or deliveries or any other B2B business. And then try and see how would they be better off if they convert to electric, besides two very important things, even at a social level for those companies. Because most of the companies also have a green agenda, that they want to change to green deliveries. Why? Because they are using some people are using even 30,000 vehicles, 40,000 vehicles. And imagine they are leaving it to riders to buy those who would always buy the cheapest, oldest, second-hand scooters and motorcycles, which are very old, compliant BS3 type of norms. And they are 4 times or 3 times as polluting as today's IC petrol two-wheelers. So from that level to where they can be in terms of electric, at least on the tailpipe emission will be zero, there is a huge sort of a social responsibility that these people are feeling that, okay, they need to do something for the society and for the environment. Second part, obviously, is they always look for what would the rider sort of feel if he is changed to electric, because there are negatives and positives there. when a rider individually buys a personal vehicle, he thinks that he can use it for a personal means also. So the vehicle has to be performing at that level that it becomes his personal vehicle as well as a vehicle for his business or for his daily commute when he's doing business. So from that point of view, the vehicles which are sort of good quality, reliable, from good brands, they are finding space in such places. The third obviously is the rider as well as the company. What do they get in return in terms of economics? Which surely, and that the whole world knows that it's very clearly established that the economics of running an electric vehicle is far, far better than a petrol vehicle. The only issue is the initial sticker price of electric vehicle, especially in case of two-wheeler. If you go for sort of a high-end vehicle, is costlier despite subsidies. Sometimes it is 1.5 times of the cost of a petrol vehicle. So when Hero started this, we had a strategy, little different strategy of not offering very high-end vehicles, but offering city street vehicles, which are adequately performing for daily commute, whether it is personal or business. But at that point of time, the sticker price is even cheaper than the petrol equivalent. So that is the first attraction these people get, that instead of buying, like they are being pushed to buy a new vehicle, so they have a choice of buying a petrol two-wheeler or an electric two-wheeler. If they find the electric two-wheeler is going to be cheaper, even on a sticker price basis, then surely they know that everyday basis they are going to save something like 70-80 rupees a day, because that is the cost of petrol these days, which is touching 90 to 100, versus the cost of charging here, which is only 10 to 15 rupees. The difference becomes 70 to 80 rupees a day. And that's a huge money for a normal rider who just makes something like 18,000 rupees a month or something.
Great. Thank you again, Sohinder, for sharing your thoughts and your time with us. Shifting gears from electric vehicles, post-pandemic, digital transformation has become top priority for enterprises across the spectrum. Tech Circle reported this week on how JSW Cement is using apps like Saathi, yard management, and track and trace digital capabilities in its sales, marketing, and dealership ends to accelerate its cement production to 25 million tons per annum, up 79% from its current levels. I'm joined by my colleague Vignesh, who spoke to Nilesh Narvekar, the CEO of JSW Cement, a subsidiary of the $12 billion JSW Group, to discuss the cement producer's latest exploits in digitization use cases. Hi Vignesh, thanks for joining in.
Hi Supriya, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Great. First up, Vignesh, tell me, which among JSW Cement's digital use cases did you find most interesting?
Well, Supriya, one is a mobile application for field officers. It's called as a Saathi app. The company has deployed this to record all work-related actions of their on-field employees. So the data that they collect from here is then sent to a centralized system on which analytical tools and other technologies are applied. So through this data, they extract information regarding how they can track these orders, how they track all of the tasks that has to be performed, complaints, and it overall allows their force to be more efficient. And the app also gives information about sales performance, sales numbers, the targets that they have to achieve. And all of these, I've noticed, are very basic. The dashboards is very interactive, which I feel is what matters most in a mobile application. And other deployment is a launch of conversational commerce solutions. They have partnered with a startup to offer AI-based WhatsApp solution, which will provide details to the sales force on a host of issues and orders.
Broadly, tell me, what are the main functions that you would categorize when it comes to JSW's digital transformation journey so far? What are the broad functions the use cases are most applied down at?
So according to the conversation with the CEO, I understood that two main factors account for around 50 to 55% of the company's expenses, and that is logistics and how they manage their energies. So the company has recognized that for the cement business, most of the delays occur in turnaround time or from order to delivery. So the management has understood that they need proper visibility of cost heads in logistics and power. And these two, how you recognize these two issues and deploy these solutions in a strategic way could actually help them drive the differentiation.
Vignesh, tell me, do these initiatives appear in tune with the rest of the cement makers in the market? What I'm getting at is, can you give me some sense on what the digitization rates look like for other large cement makers in India?
It is no surprise that the pandemic has forced the cement industry, like all other industries, to let go of the legacy systems and to adopt digital practices. And about 10 days ago, also, US-based supply chain company Blue Yonder announced that they will be providing supply chain transformation and digitization for ACC Cement and Ambuja Cement. So all of these cement companies, I believe the idea, what they want to achieve is similar. They want a 360-degree view of operations, and they want to collect this data and see how well they can turn all of these into insights.
All of that sounds great, Vignesh. Thank you so much for your inputs. And I look forward to, I'm sure the viewers as well look forward to your other interviews in the future with players such as Ambuja and ACC, perhaps, on the same topic.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much.
And that brings us to the wrap of this episode of Tech This Week. For more news and updates, log in to techcircle.in. Goodbye. Stay safe.